like at the end of 2018, then it could just mean we go straight to the 200-week SMA. And from some respects, it wouldn't be that surprising if that happened, considering that, like the RSI has been in a bear market for a year almost. Actually, more than a year at this point. Because it's interesting is normally the bear market ends, a year after the RSI tops. This was December 2017. The bear market ended December 2018. The RSI topped here January 2021, but clearly we're already past January 2022. But you can in fact see that the RSI is getting slowly closer to those oversold levels. The furthest we've ever seen it go down is around 28 to 29. We're currently sitting at around 35 on the monthly time frame. The RSI is currently at around 48. Historical bottoms have occurred around 44. So my guess is there's more down to come, is my guess, and that altcoins remain incredibly risky, and that's just the way it is. Yeah, look, guys, it's a bear market. There's no point in really debating it anymore. I mean, there's some people that that call me out on it and say that it's not a bear market. There's no point in debating this. It's just a bear market, right? You don't look at the market, just go into a systematic meltdown like this and call it a bull market. Let's be real. I just feel like it's a waste of our time to argue. I think at this point, if it's a bull market or a bear market, bear markets look like this. Okay, this is what they look like. If we see a relief rally, where's the rejection? My guess is if we see a rally, that the rejection is at 40. If we get the rally, I don't even know if we're gonna get it. I mean, if we just go straight to the 200 week, then we won't get it from here. Clearly, I mean, but if we do get a relief rally, I'm guessing the rejection will be at 40. Basically, going back up to the 200-day moving average, which is where we went in 2018. I think the main problem right now is this sell-off at some point, just from like an oversold perspective, it would seemingly need to at least bounce for at least a week or two, just to make sure that it doesn't become too easy to short sell it, which I know people will try to do. Um, but yeah, I mean, if we get a bounce off this lower low, going back to the 200-day is my best guess, and that's already at 46K, but it's going to move down fairly quickly here. Okay, so you can imagine if this say comes down here and then bounces, maybe it comes back up to 40K or something. That's if we get the relief rally. That is my best guess as to how high it would go. I don't think we're going to see any type of bounce back to 60K or something like that. I don't see an alt season right now. It doesn't mean you won't see alt rally a lot off whatever the most recent local lows are, but it's going to take some time to build the confidence back in this market. You don't build it back that quickly after this. You just don't. I mean, it just is what it is. You have to spend some time down in dealing with the winds of winter before you'll see it recover. That's where we currently are. Hopefully you've been stacking cash. Hopefully you're light on altcoins. That's all I can really say about it. Um, What if 2018 and 2014 money was less in the market and we got much lower than 22K? I mean, the Fed printed 50% more money in the last 2 years. We could go below 22. Bitcoin's been to the 300 week before, twice, sort of. At least once for sure. Arguably a second time. If you extrapolate out the 300 week SMA to earlier times, that's currently at around 16K. So, I mean, look, people don't like to talk about this stuff, but when you look at a market and you can see that we've seen rally or drops. The last one was 84%. Okay, they've been getting a little more tame each time. For instance, this first one was 93, 94%. This one here, this longer bear market, ended up being around 86%. So you have 93, 86, 84. If that trend continues and we go down, maybe not quite. I mean, 84% down, puts you all the way at 10K, or maybe not 10K, maybe 11K. But let's suppose we go down A 15K Bitcoin is 78% down, right? A 16K, which is where the 300 week is at 76% down. 20K Bitcoin is 70% down. Don't tell me these things can't happen. I've watched them happen many times, in fact. And every time people always say they can't happen, and then they do. So, don't tell me it can't happen. It can. It's happened before many times. It'll continue to happen. So maybe the biggest counter argument is that we didn't go up as high, so maybe we don't have to go down as much. But I don't know. In Bitcoin bear markets, I usually get pretty apathetic and just sort of assume the price is going to go lower until I'm proven otherwise. So, you know, you have to assume these things are possible, right? Like, don't tell me it can't happen. It can, and you need to be prepared in case it does. I think really what you're looking at is we're sitting on the cusp of a few things here. Number one, Bitcoin dominance. I'm growing old saying this at this point. I mean, literally, I feel like I'm getting gray hairs waiting for this to happen. But one of the things we're waiting on that I think we're on the very cusp of is Bitcoin dominance going up a lot. A lot. Okay? So if in 3 months the Bitcoin dominance is below 42%, then I got it wrong, completely wrong. If on the other hand, the dominance is upwards of 50% or more, that's the path of least resistance, I think. Okay? There's a lot of garbage in the space and it needs to be washed out. It's the truth, right? It needs to be wiped out. The market needs to be cleansed. And it can't do that if the dominance is only at 42%, So I'm telling you, this is where it goes up. If it's going to go up, it's going to be over the next 3 to 4 months, is my guess, because we've put in a lower low. And as I said before, when we put in a lower low in June of 2018, that was exactly where the dominance shot up a lot, right here. June 2018, you can really see it really started to take off in mid to late June and then going into July. And it didn't slow down until September. So if you look at something similar, you're talking about the dominance picking up steam the second half of May, continuing through, say, like June, July, and August is what you're likely looking at. All right? That's what I think is going to happen. I think dominance is about to go up a lot. Remember, dominance going up doesn't always mean Bitcoin's price goes down. Okay? It doesn't. I know a lot of people think that's what it means. But as I said over here, when the dominance went up during those months, Bitcoin was actually fairly stagnant. Okay? I mean, it actually rallied back up, which would be the equivalent of 40K today. Bitcoin could stay like this, and alts would absolutely get wrecked if that were to happen. Bitcoin rallies off a local low, alts are going to get wrecked against their Bitcoin pairs more than likely, even if they do okay against USD. So, the point is that the market as a whole needs to be cleansed of all the filth, right? All the scams, all this sort of stuff. The only way that's going to happen is if Bitcoin washes them out. It needs to wash them out. They're not washed out yet. More spirits need to be broken. And I mean, that's the truth. They need to be broken. They're not broken yet. Some of them have been broken. We're starting to see them break. But my point is that if Bitcoin gets that rally off of that local low we've talked about, even if the bear market continues, alt Bitcoin pairs are wrecked for the next several months. Okay? So, don't tell me that you think that you think altcoins are going to do well against Bitcoin, because I don't really think so. I mean, this is my best guess. I think Bitcoin could bounce, and I think altcoins could maybe bounce with it, but I think Bitcoin would sort of leave them behind. And if you had to think about what would happen if Bitcoin bounces in the 30 to 40K range for 3 months, if we're lucky, imagine if Bitcoin bounces between 30 to 40K for 3 months. Alts are wrecked. I mean, absolutely wrecked. Let me show you an example. Okay, so don't take my word for it. You go look at historical valuations. Okay, so let me go to when was this bottom, by the way? 22,120. All right, let me go figure out when this bottom was. I'm gonna give you a case in point. Okay, so Bitcoin hit this price January 24th. Okay, January 24th, Yeah, well, we don't really have the best data for it because it actually rallied by the close, but I'm going to show you something here. All right, look at this. Historical snapshots. Look where Bitcoin was, okay? I don't think they actually have it at the lower price, even though we know it went there, because it sort of bounced off of that low. Um, but regardless of that, um, look at these altcoins. They were all much higher than they are today. So what are we saying here? We're saying that if Bitcoin bounces here, okay, which there's a good chance it could bounce somewhere off of these summer lows. If Bitcoin bounces, alts likely don't keep up. Why? Bitcoin put in a lower low. The market structure has changed. It's the same thing that happened in 2018. Okay, so these altcoins remain very risky right now. I'm not saying you can't make money on them. A lot of people do. A lot of people make more money on altcoins than I do because I'm very risk averse and I don't like having too much altcoins in my portfolio. But when you're looking at a lower low, I mean, that's the market structure, right? It's the market structure. Lower low is in. Bitcoin dominance needs to go up. If it doesn't go up, then the market structure has fundamentally changed. I will assume that this is going to go up. My best guess in terms of where we are on, say, like a weekly dominance type thing is here. Somewhere like right here is where I think we are. So I think the next few months, you're going to see the dominance do something like that. If that doesn't happen, then I'll need to reassess. I'll need to reassess what the hell this market's doing if this doesn't happen. So I think dominance needs to go up, meaning altcoin, Bitcoin valuations need to get wrecked, including ethers. So that's where we currently stand. Yeah, just do yourself a favor. Anytime you think about YOLOing on altcoins, go take a cold shower. Okay, maybe they'll bounce in the short term. Who knows? I mean, when they drop 20%, they often can get 10, 15% rallies. But as far as say like a 6 month investment or a year investment right now on alts, not really looking so hot. Bitcoin is king during this phase, and don't you forget it. Don't forget it. Look, it's down 6-7%, 6 or 7. Look at these altcoins. Most of them are down double digits. Double digits, okay? This is not altcoin season. There is no evidence of an upcoming altcoin season. If you're going to message me in a couple weeks on a potential bounce or whenever it happens by altcoins and say that's an altcoin season, then your expectations have been hammered down so much that you don't really remember what an alt season is. This is not an alt season. A 20% recovery bounce is not an alt season. An alt season is something that lasts months, where everything's going up 50% in a week or something. So no, be careful with your money. You need to be very cautious right now. The dollar still looks relatively strong. The Nasdaq still looks relatively weak. And I mean, I'm thinking maybe the Nasdaq will get some type of a bounce here in the next week or two, potentially off of somewhere in the 11s. Okay, I think there'll be some type of significant bounce somewhere in the 11 range. So currently we're at 12.3, 12.2. So looking for a bounce there. And then if that bounces, you'll probably see crypto bounce a little bit. If the Nasdaq doesn't bounce and goes straight to the 200-week SMA, so if the Nasdaq drops another 13, 14% straight to the 200-week, like we did in March of 2020, basically, you're also looking at Bitcoin more than likely at the 200-week SMA then. Okay, so you need to be careful. You need to protect yourself. This is a risk-off environment. It's not an altcoin-heavy environment by any stretch of the imagination. Every time I say that, people call it, a bottom indicator. I mean, we'll hit a local bottom at some point. We haven't hit it yet, and altcoins still continue to get wrecked. So, we put out a lot of videos over the last few months saying that alts are really risky, that that stacking cash is the name of the game in the bear market. Hopefully, some people took that advice. But anyways, what questions do we have? And we'll try to get to them. Can we see a 1K ETH? A 1K ETH. It could happen depending on how bad it gets for Bitcoin. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that a 1K ETH has to happen. I think a lot of times investors need to be more open-minded to what can and cannot happen. Okay. There's a difference between, say, something can happening and saying that it will happen. Like there's a chance that you could see Bitcoin flash crash down well below, some of the price targets that people talked about. Just, some things can happen even if you don't think they can. So yes, I mean, anything's possible. Anything is possible with investing. I mean, there's all sorts of charts you can go look at. So yeah, anything's possible. And I mean, I think that the summer low for Bitcoin was around 29K. The summer low for Ether was 1,700. So you have to at least accept a $1,700 ETH, at least. Furthermore, if Bitcoin goes back 20K, then you have to assume that ETH can go to 1,400, like its prior all-time high as well. It'd probably be slightly below it actually if Bitcoin goes back to 20K. So yeah, I mean these prices are certainly possible. I do think we're hopefully getting to the stage of the bear market where more people kind of understand that these things are possible and don't give me a hard time for saying that they're possible. Um, Usually that's a good sign once we get to that phase. There still are people that are giving me a hard time about it, so I don't know that we're quite there yet. But it's usually a good sign whenever we reach that phase. Is there anyone that thinks we're in a bull market? They say, I see no one. Oh, yes. There are plenty of people that think so. Just go to Twitter, go to YouTube. There's plenty. Advice. Someone says advice if you're already down. Listen, when investing, you have to think about one thing, okay? There's something called a sunk cost, okay? Whatever you bought it for is kind of irrelevant, okay? You have to take the information that you have at the time and run with that, not based on the price you bought it for. Someone says the Bitcoin dominance will never come back. Yeah, look, it's possible. Like I'm not. It's not a hill I'm gonna die on. Like I'm not gonna say that the dominance has to go back before Bitcoin ever goes back into a bull market. Okay, so I'm not prepared to die on that hill. But I will say that it would make me and a lot of longer term investors, I think, happy if it did go up, and it would make me more confident in the market if it went up. Like if I saw the Bitcoin dominance at 60%, I would be a bit more confident in the market than it just chilling at 40 to 42%. Now the counter argument, as he said, is there's a lot of VC money in altcoins and stuff, and that's why they won't go down. Look, VC, they can, this venture capital, they can lose money too. Okay, so well, these altcoins can go down really quickly. I mean, look, like if Bitcoin were to bounce here back to 40K and then come back to 30K, alts would get wrecked against Bitcoin again and again and again. So yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I could be wrong about the Bitcoin dominance. I don't think I am. If I am wrong, it should be fairly obvious within the next couple of months. Okay. If you don't see the dominance go up in the next 2 to 3 months, let's say over the summer, okay, because it's already May now, so we have June, July, and August. If you don't see the Bitcoin dominance go up over the summer, then the market has fundamentally changed forever, okay, because this is when it should go up, is after putting in a lower low. It should go up, especially if Bitcoin sees some type of bounce. So yeah, I would say, it's not a hill I'm going to die on. I do think the Bitcoin dominance should go up, and if it hasn't made its move, if it doesn't make its move this summer, then the market has fundamentally changed. If 64 is the top, then we had severely diminished returns. Um, Sorta. So yeah, I mean, so this one here was a 100x, and then this one here would have been a like a 20x or so, maybe like a 23x. So you basically had a 100x, a 23x, right? So I mean, if Bitcoin ends up bottoming, let's say it bottoms at I mean, let's just say it bottoms at 20K. I mean, if it bottoms at 20K and then the next run is, say, like I mean, if it's a 5X, that gets you to 100K. If it's like a 7X, it would get you to like 140. Um, yeah, but I mean, look, the returns have diminished, but not really in a way that wasn't anticipated. I mean, again, you go look at the risk level, the risk chart on Bitcoin, and you can see we hit the upper bands on it. I mean, so it's not really diminished in the sense that it was completely surprising. We still went to the highest risk band. I just think a lot of people, were originally thinking that we were going to go to 300K, and therefore, a 60 to 70K Bitcoin isn't exactly what people were thinking. But look, diminishing returns is a thing, and it's played out. It's played out once again. Okay, so this is one of the theories, right? Diminishing returns. A lot of people don't like it, and they said we were going to go much higher, but we didn't. Okay, we topped out at 64K or 69K if you look at November. um, the corridor, where that? Don't worry about ETH. Okay, all right, don't worry about ETH. The corridor doesn't really work on ETH as much as it does on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think it works relatively well on. Um, Not as much on Ether. Okay, so these are the bounds. The bounds right now on it are 26.4 to 96.7. These are the bounds right now. It's held twice before. So, I mean, here in the summer of 2021, it held in January. The bounds now are 26. You can see that the market cycle bottom was December 2018 on it. This bottom was basically on it. We had a wick below. No one's getting out of bed for a wick. So, yeah, like if we go to 26K, probably, maybe some type of bounce. If that happens this week. I kind of prefer the idea of getting a bounce off the summer lows without having to go to 26K. Just to kind of give this time to continue to move down, maybe closer to the 200-week moving average or something. But I have to think that if we're going to bounce before going to the 200-week SMA, it would be somewhere around these summer lows. That's what I would be inclined to think. Okay, somewhere around 30K plus or minus 3,000, a few $1,000s. Any updates on whale number 3? Actually, this is a good question. I was actually looking at some of this whale stuff recently. So let me show you what I was looking at. So let's go check in on our friendly whale number 3. He's not doing a damn thing. I guess he picked up 1,000 Bitcoin 3 days ago at 36K. But no, I mean, it hasn't done anything in the last few days. It's just sort of like all a wash to some degree. I was actually looking at some of the older wallets, actually. These wallets here are super interesting because they not only bought the 2018 bottom, they also bought the 2021 bottom. The series of wallets probably all belonging to the same person. I don't know if they just bought the bottom and got lucky, or maybe they created the bottom because they just bought so much Bitcoin. But I'm watching these guys like a hog. You can see they bought December 4th, 2018. They bought July 17th, 2021, somewhere around those time frames. They've been quiet ever since. I'll click on one of them so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see they went really heavy in Bitcoin, just below $4,000 in December 2018. They didn't go as heavy over here, but they put in a similar amount of money. I mean, it's just Bitcoin was worth 10 times more. You can see they added their position in July of 2021, but it's been crickets ever since. Crickets. So we want to see these whales buying. If you go down even further, There have been some whales that started buying recently. This one, these guys started buying in February and March of 2020 during that big drop, and they recently started buying again on February or on May 6th. Look at all of them. Same, probably the same person, but all of them. Again, let me click on one so I can show you what I mean. They bought a lot of Bitcoin over here in 2020, March and April of 2020, and then they didn't do anything until 3 days ago, where they got a couple hundred Bitcoin at 36K. Maybe they should have waited a couple more days, but um, you're seeing some of these longer term whales that really don't make that many moves. They're starting to wake up a little bit. Um, Not all of them have woken up yet, so I do think it's worth watching this stuff to see when will a lot of them wake up. Here's a lot of other wallets. You can see they all have 8,000 Bitcoin in them. Look at these guys. I mean, look at this. They all bought in December of 2018. I mean, look, December 5th, 2018. And then they recently bought again in the summer of 2021. Look at all these. Actually, no, these didn't buy in the summer of 2021. It's just a small transaction. But you can see that they've been fairly dormant, for a long time now. Um, they've been fairly dormant. They bought this, the bottom of 2018. They haven't done anything since. I mean, I guess it's good news they haven't sold, um, but they haven't done much of anything since. And you see all these sort of like dust transactions that are showing up. But anyways, that's what we're looking at with the whale game stuff. Not a whole lot to report. There are some older wallets that started buying in 2020 that have recently started buying. Whale number 3, he's kind of all over the place. Yeah, there certainly are some whales that are selling though. I'm not trying to give you the impression that there's not. Like this guy just regularly sells like 500 Bitcoin. Look at this. This guy's losing money, I think, because you look at where they were bought. They were all bought at like, 47K, 49K, 50K, and then it looks like they did take some out near the top, but they've really been selling a lot recently. Their profit right now is negative 462 million. So you thought you were having a bad day, right? Negative 400, and this is almost a $500 million loss. They're selling 500 Bitcoin every few days, and they have been since really late 2021. You can see their balance is still going up, and they still hold over 27,000 Bitcoin, but it's been slowly going away here. All right. Well, so someone says Bitcoin versus Nasdaq's about to reverse down to 13K Bitcoin in a longer than traditional bear market possible. Yeah, I can go look. Index Bitcoin USD divided by the Nasdaq. Let me switch this over to this one. I guess I need to go back to log scale. Yeah, it has fallen below. I mean, these are the lines we previously drew. So it looks like this has fallen. I mean, I guess you could always redraw the line to fit the wicks if this ends up coming back up. But at least for now, it looks like it has broken below. If you just connect the wicks, it looks like it is about to. Yeah, there's a lot of supports that are sort of falling right now. I think if the Nasdaq bounces in the $11,000 region, which is getting somewhat close to maybe like 11.5 or something, you'll probably see Bitcoin bounce as well. But Bitcoin is in some trouble here. It looks like the SPY is back to 400. So the SPY is getting close to being 20% down. It's currently almost 17% down. If it goes to 380, you're talking about it being officially a bear market for the S&P, because I think they use 20% moves. So 380 they'd call it a bear market. For the Nasdaq, it's been in a bear market for a while now. The Nasdaq's down a lot. I mean, quite a bit actually. From the top, the Nasdaq's down 27%. And, to go down 30% would put it at around, right around 11.6, 11.7. So perhaps a bounce off there. We sort of saw a bounce at around 20%, plus or minus a couple percent. So maybe we'll see one at 30% too, plus or minus a couple percent, to come back up and then try again. Yeah, we can go check out accounting for M2. So we'll do that. So yeah, so it looks like, because we talked about this back in the summer as well. Um, it looks like we're there, actually. I mean, when you account for M2, which is perhaps a dubious way to account for the supply of money, we're testing the 2017 all-time high right now at a slightly higher price than we tested it in the summer of 2021 because there's been more money that's been printed since then. So yeah, we're testing it right now. The prior all-time high of 2017 when you account for, some of the money, the money being printed. Interesting point. Thanks for bringing that up. Do I consider ETH an altcoin? No, I don't, but I still think it's going to get wrecked against Bitcoin over the next few months. Netflix is only down 75%. Yeah, I was looking at that.